All right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. We got a long one here, so saddle up, grab a drink, and grab some snacks. Let's enjoy this one. This one's going to be kind of a deep dive, I think. This is a video from Jonny Arnett. It's called The Truth About Michael Jordan's 1988 Defensive Player of the Year season. And I've gotten a ton of requests to check this out. Everyone seems to want my opinion on this. First of all, I'm going to link the original video down below in the description, like always. So if you want to watch Jonny's video without me, go for it. Those of you who want to watch it with me, please leave a like. But I'm going to preface this video by saying this. This is why I haven't been talking about this topic. Because I saw everything come out and I just kind of rolled my eyes. And I thought to myself, like, what's my stance on this? And it was simple. It was even if, like, unequivocally, it was proven that Jordan did, like, let me put it so plain. You could take away Jordan's Defensive Player of the Year award, and he's still the GOAT. So, like, I know this is coming from, like, the LeBron camp to try and diminish the GOAT, you know? But it's not going to work in my mind, because even if you take away this award, he's still the GOAT. It wasn't relying on this. If you take away this award, it doesn't mean he's not one of the greatest defensive guards we've ever seen. One of the greatest two-way players we've ever seen. And then all his other accomplishments piled up, and you go, yeah, that's still the GOAT. The Defensive Player of the Year award thing is just like, that's just cherry. That's a cherry on top. So I wasn't too interested, because to me, this doesn't phase anything. So I'm curious what Jonny has found out here. I'm going to keep an open mind. But like I said, no matter what, I watched his whole career. I know what he did out there on the floor, and he's the GOAT. All right, let's do this. Good way to start the night with the coolest intro in all of freaking sports media.
To many people, Michael Jordan is not only the greatest player of all time, but he's an athlete with a perfect legacy. He was dominant, productive,
Disagree already. Not a perfect legacy whatsoever. There's no such thing.
and the very definition of a winner. His finals record is a spotless 6-0 with 6 finals MVPs to back it up. He's iconic, stylish, charismatic, and ultimately the standard of basketball excellence. With all that being said, many have grown weary of the idolization of Michael Jordan. His reputation and his legacy is so pristine that some seem determined to find and exploit his faults, thus bringing him back to the level of the competition. First, they went after his era, claiming that he played against plumbers and accountants. After that failed to sway the masses, they went after his left hand. And once again, after that trend wore off, a new critique arose. Now, they're going after his defensive reputation and examining the legitimacy of his defensive accolades and statistics. It all started with this article.
Real quick, and then after this, I'm not going to talk much. I'm just going to watch. But when I get these requests to cover things like this that are obviously coming from the Clutch Media side, I wonder if we're playing right into their hands by talking about this. Because if somebody says something to you so stupid, so ridiculous that it's not even worth your time, you just kind of roll your eyes and you move on with your life, and it gets no attention, no traction. It dies, right? So I wonder if, like, they put out these hit pieces knowing that we're going to respond, and because we're responding to it, we're making it real. So I just wanted to, that's for all you guys, because I know it's hard to understand why sometimes I avoid certain things like this, and that's the reasoning that I have. Let me know what you think about that reasoning, because, sometimes I wonder, like, this video I'm doing right now, is this making it worse? Did Arnett just make this worse? Did we all make it worse because we fed into the nonsense? Let me know.
That I'm sure many of you have read at this point. It's titled, A Closer Look at Michael Jordan's 1988 DPOY Award Raises Questions About Its Validity. Has LeBron James been chasing a ghost? The article was written by a man named Tom Habistro, and he makes a lot of claims in this lengthy piece. So what we first need to know before I dig into the details...
Okay, I'm sorry, one more time. The reason I know this is coming from the LeBron James camp is, what does LeBron James have to do with this? What does he have to do with this whatsoever? Why would this involve LeBron James? We're talking about Michael Jordan and defensive stats from 1988. What does that have to do with LeBron James? Nothing. So you know it's coming from that camp because it's going to spin it to a way where like, oh, well, is LeBron actually the GOAT then? No. Like I said, take away the DPOY, MJ's still the GOAT. LeBron should not be in this conversation whatsoever.
Who is Tom Habistro? Well, he's an NBA analyst, a podcaster, and a sports writer who began covering the NBA in 2013. Primarily, he's an analytics nerd and a guy who holds the value of statistics above all else. To a certain degree, I respect him for his analytical insight because he was a guy who was truly ahead of the curve. Before Steph Curry truly broke out as an MVP level player, Tom Habistro was preaching the message that the NBA needed to be shooting more three-point shots. After some time, the league finally evolved into what Habistro had envisioned. He's a guy who's so committed to statistics that he'll even go against conventional basketball wisdom if it contradicts his numbers. For example, Habistro famously argued with Tracy McGrady on ESPN about how Kobe Bryant was not one of the most clutch players.
Oh, this asshole. I remember this conversation. Oh, shit. All right, now I'm already on guard because this dude's insulting.
In the league. He's also written entire articles talking about how unintelligent heat check shots are and that no one should be taking them. As you can see, he's pretty prone to making hot takes if his numbers warrant it.
Yeah.
Now getting back to the article at hand, Habistro claims that Michael Jordan's defensive numbers were not only inflated, but they were completely fabricated due to an agenda to get Jordan the Defensive Player of the Year award in 1988. You see, as Habistro correctly points out, Michael Jordan did not make the NBA's All-Defense team the previous season. And it was actually Michael Cooper who won the Defensive Player of the Year award in 1987.
Yeah, Coop's a hell of a defender.
Both of these outcomes infuriated Michael Jordan, to the point that he wanted to make a statement with his defensive abilities in the 87 to 88 season.
I wanted to show people that I'm more than just a scorer. Yeah.
Allegedly,
He did too.
Jordan wasn't doing it alone, as the Bulls' official statistician was apparently boosting MJ's numbers by giving him extra blocks and steals on a regular basis. Now, for longtime basketball historians, the suggestion of this isn't necessarily anything new. For a long time, there have been narratives about NBA stars of the 80s and 90s getting home court treatment where their numbers are artificially inflated by biased statisticians.
Yeah, this is something I've heard about my entire life. This is nothing new.
This has been a claim against the all-time leader in assists, John Stockton, for many years at this point.
Yeah, John Stockton's the first one I ever heard about. Like, his assist numbers were vastly increased at home. Like, but what I'm trying to say is this is a regular thing. This has been going on since, at least the 80s?
Famously, Nick Van Exel once recorded 23 assists in a single game while playing for the Lakers in Los Angeles. But after further examination, it appears the actual assist total should have been closer to 17. But apparently, this
Still
wasn't
impressive.
just any ordinary homebrewed stat keeping for Jordan. But the article claims that not only did MJ have significantly greater defensive numbers at home, but it was the greatest margin of any Defensive Player of the Year winner in NBA history.
Okay.
I gotta be honest, when I first read this home versus road production differential, I wasn't too moved. During the late 80s, Chicago was a very young team who fed immensely off of the energy of their home crowd. Like most of the league at that point, they were simply a much better team at home than on the road. So of course, their best players' stats are gonna look better when they're playing in front of their home crowd. Regardless, the numbers were suspicious enough to lead Tom to investigate just how legitimate Jordan's defensive numbers were at home. Habistro claimed that he reached out to someone who preserved a collection of rare and historic NBA games. Tom was able to get 6 of the Bulls' regular season home games from that season, and he claims that he watched them in their entirety while doing his own stat keeping, and he said that the revelations were dramatic. According to Tom, Jordan only had an actual total of 12 steals in the 6 games, despite the fact that the box scores indicate that he had a total of 26 in that time frame. You heard that correctly. Apparently, MJ's steals were more than double what his actual total should have been. But here's the thing, we're just supposed to take his word for it. Habistro never posted the games or the highlights of the contest that he claimed to have watched and tracked statistically.
Oh, that's crap right there. Yeah, you got to post your sources if you're going to make a claim like that.
Everybody's been debating his findings from these 6 games all over the internet, but pretty much no one has been able to see the footage. Jordan fans are constantly coming to MJ's defense, while Jordan's critics are quick to agree with Habistro, despite the fact that almost no one has seen any visual footage of the article's claims. Up to this point, I haven't seen a single analyst or YouTuber break down the actual footage and show the truth about these 6 games. But that is where this video comes in.
All right, let's do it.
I was determined to get to the bottom of this and show the actual footage to my viewers. Listed on the screen are the 6 games that Tom talks about in his article. In order to find these games, I had to scour the internet. Unfortunately, none of these 6 games could be found in their entirety on YouTube. So I'm out of luck, right? Wrong. That's when I found this website. It's called USASportsOnDVD.com.
Oh, cool.
Essentially, it's this massive database of NBA games. On this site, you're able to search for specific games in NBA history with their search engine. And when you find the games you want, you can offer a trade for those games. It's essentially a hub for basketball superfans who want to preserve history. A link can be found to this page in the video's description and in the pinned comment.
Dude, that's cool.
I looked up the 6 games that Habistro talked about, and sure enough, they were there in their fullness. All I had to do was request them, and then they got sent to me, and I watched them closely in their entirety, and did the stat keeping on my own. And now I'm ready to tell you and show you the truth about these games.
Oh boy.
Now,
All right,
before I
let's do
start
it.
analyzing these games and showing you the footage, we first have to establish what constitutes a block and what constitutes a steal.
Yes.
Because if there's anything I've learned over the last couple of weeks, it's that a lot of people don't understand the definitions of these stats.
Yeah, and what it meant back then too.
Understanding these definitions will be of the utmost importance if we're going to accurately assess Jordan's actual statistics. First, what is the definition of a block? Well, according to the official NBA rulebook, a blocked shot is credited when a player deflects the course of a field goal attempt by an opponent and the shot is not made. A shot can be considered a block even if the ball was not in flight before it was being blocked. So to paraphrase for simplicity, if MJ gets a piece of the ball and it doesn't go in, it's a block. This is important to remember because Michael Jordan contested a lot of shots, and in many cases, it was extremely difficult to tell if he got a piece of the ball on a contest, especially when we're looking at 1980s tapes that look like it was filmed using a sweet potato.
Seriously.
I'll give my honest opinion on MJ's block totals, but as you'll see shortly, it's up to interpretation in some cases. Now, what is the definition of a steal is a bit more cut and dry. According to the official NBA rulebook, a steal is credited to a player that legally takes the ball away from an opponent, intercepts a pass, or otherwise obtains possession on the ball following an opponent's turnover, providing the ball has remained in bounds and the clock has not stopped. If a player deflects a pass or dribble and controls his deflection either away from an opponent or towards a teammate, resulting in eventual possession for the defense, the player causing the deflection is credited with the steal.
What? If a player deflects a pass or dribble and controls his deflection either away from the opponent or towards a teammate, resulting in eventual possession for defense, the player causing the... That's... Wow. I don't think that's done accurately then. I don't think that's done accurately at all. The person who deflects it gets the steal. Wow. Okay. All right. That changes a lot for me.
Again, that last detail is extremely important.
It is.
If a ball is deflected, it's not necessarily the player who gathered it who gets the steal, but it's the one who initially deflected it. So now that we understand the definitions, let's get into it.
Wow.
The first of the 6 games was on November 20th, 1987 against the Atlanta Hawks. According to the official box score, MJ had 4 blocks and 4 steals. For both blocks and steals, I will be categorizing them as quote definitive and as quote possible, which is the category of the ones I don't count but can be debated.
Yeah.
Here is Jordan's definitive blocks. This is the first. This is the second. And this is the third.
3
Now
blocks
for
is
the
already a
ones
good
that
game.
were possibly blocks. He might have got a piece of this first one. The second
Maybe.
one occurred as the foul was committed, so that typically doesn't count. The third one, he might have got a piece, but it's tough to tell.
It is tough to tell.
Now for Jordan's definitive steals. Pretty straightforward. And that's all the definitive steals I saw for Jordan in this game.
Huh.
He had a lot of deflections where the Hawks kept possession, and he forced a lot of bad passes and traveling violations, but those are not technically supposed to count as steals.
No, they're not.
Now here is Jordan's possible steal, and in my opinion, this shouldn't count, because he never established possession before losing it out of bounds.
That's fair.
So now let's recap. The box score said that Jordan had 4 steals and 4 blocks.
Oof.
At most, he had 2 steals and 6 blocks.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. I wouldn't give him those 6 blocks. I would give him those 4 blocks. But yeah. Yeah, I would give him probably 1 steal that game. So that's bad. That's bad.
But by my sincerely honest count, he just had 1 steal and 3 blocks, which is well short of his box score total. Now let's
Still
move
damn
on to
good.
game 2.
Mind you, I think that's going to be the theme of this. Somebody gets 3 blocks and 1 steal in a game and scores 35 points or 37 points. That's GOAT. So it's not going to change my mind. But yeah, that's I don't like that. No matter what, even if it favors my favorite player in the world, I don't like that. Whether it's John Stockton or Jordan, or I don't like inflated stats.
This was on January 5th, 1988 against the Indiana Pacers. According to the box score, Jordan had a whopping 4 steals and 5 blocks.
Okay.
This was the first definitive block,
Yep.
and that was the only definitive block. This was his possible block.
Oh, yeah. It looked
Now,
like
here's
one.
the definitive steal. And here's his possible steal. I didn't count this one for MJ because although he's the assigned defender, it doesn't look like he ever gets a piece of it before it ends up in Dave Corzine's hands.
Yeah, I don't think he touched it. It's
So to recap,
so blurry, it's hard to tell, but I don't think he touched it.
based on the quote official stats, Jordan had 4 steals and 5 blocks. But based on my viewing, at most, he had 2 and 2. And by my actual count, he only had 1 of each. That is a jarring gap from the box score.
Yeah, this one's brutal.
We're only 2 games into Tom Habistro's 6-game sample, and things are already looking pretty bad for MJ. Now let's look at the 3rd game, which was 2 days later against the Denver Nuggets. Allegedly, MJ had 6 steals and 4 blocks on this night. Here's the definitive blocks.
All in the same spot, too. Look at this.
Here's the possible blocks.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Ooh, that one's close.
Now the definitive steals.
Yeah. Yep.
And possible steals.
Oops. No.
So to recap, 6 and 4 in the box score. I have 3 steals and 6 blocks at the most. And my actual count is 2 steals and 4 blocks. So the blocked shots are actually correct in this instance.
Once again, yes, this looks better, but this is fantastic. A guard going out there and getting 4 blocks and 2 steals, and also being your lead scorer.
But the steals
But it
appear
is
to be
inflated.
grossly inflated. They're tripled to be precise. The fourth game was on January 16th, 1988 against the Detroit Pistons. Fun fact, a giant brawl broke out in this random regular season game between the Pistons and the Bulls.
Sounds about right.
Because of course it did.
Yeah.
The box score said that MJ had 4 steals and 4 blocks on this evening. Here are the definitive blocks.
Oh, man. Disrespectful. Yep. Yep. And
Here's
then
the possible block.
I don't think we call that a block.
Here's the definitive steal.
Yep.
And here's the possible steal.
Okay, that's
stash-
hard because did he have possession? That one's hard.
He said that there was 4 steals and 4 blocks. At most, he had 2 and 4. And by my honest count, he had 1 and 3. Even this steal by Rory Sparrow should have gone to the box score. But when we take a look, you'll see that Sparrow had no steals tallied. And this one should have been obvious. On to Game 5. This was on February 15th, 1988 against the Atlanta Hawks. The box score says that MJ had 5 steals and 2 blocks. So let's take a look.
Starting to wonder if the guy who was doing the box scores in Chicago knew what the hell a steal was. The blocks are always a lot closer, but steals wise, I don't know.
The definitive blocks.
He's a fucking monster.
This is the possible block, but I personally wouldn't count it since it occurred during the foul. There was no definitive steals,
fair.
but here's the possible steals. At first glance, this first one looks like it possibly could have gone to MJ. But if you slow it down, you'll see that the Bulls' Mike Brown actually deflected it first.
Okay, that one's fair though, because if I was watching that live, from right around here, that would have looked like an MJ steal. Because he just deflected and ran.
It should be his steal, regardless of the fact that MJ gathered it.
Yeah.
But when you look at the box score, you'll see that Mike Brown suspiciously had 0 steals.
Yeah, this is done by human beings. So that one, not the other ones. I'm not giving those a pass. This one, giving that a full pass. A human being standing right over here or sitting right over here made that call, and that looked like a Jordan steal.
The Bulls were unable to maintain possession on the second one where MJ tries to save it. So there's no clear steal here either. Let's recap. Box score says 5 steals and 2 blocks. At most...
Is that fair though? Let me know on this one, because this one is just like my own opinion. All right, because he's gonna steal the ball, get possession, and then turn the ball over right after. To me, this is a steal and then a turnover. So it's like it basically cancels itself out. But those 2 stats should exist. Let me know your opinion on this.
Where MJ tries to
he's got the ball. He's jumping out of bounds, so he has possession, and now he's going to turn the ball over.
There's no clear steal here either.
Let me know.
Let's recap. Box score says 5 steals and 2 blocks. At most, there was 2 steals and 2 blocks. And by my actual count, there was 0 steals and 1 block, making this potentially the most egregious stat keeping of any game yet. Now for Habistro's 6th and final game. This one was on March 18th, 1988 against the Boston Celtics. The box score said that MJ had 5 steals and 1 block. So let's proceed with the definitive blocks.
Yep.
Now the possible block.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think
The definitive steals.
he got shortchanged on this one. Yep. Oops. Did homie just dribble it off his head? Oh, I mean, kinda. Yeah, that's a steal.
And lastly, the possible steals. Notice how each of these possible steals were all deflected by Jordan's teammates.
Yeah, they
meaning
were.
they should get the stat. But the only way MJ reaches his total of 5 steals is if you count all of these towards MJ instead.
Yeah, there should be a block for his teammate and not a steal. It's a block and then Jordan's grabbing the possession.
Recapping the 6th game, the box score said 5 steals and 1 block. At most, he had 5 steals and 2 blocks. And my actual count is 2 steals and 1 block. So now that we've completed Habistro's 6-game sample, what does the data tell us? Well, according to Tom's article, MJ's combined box scores indicate that he had a total of 28 steals and 20 blocks.
That's still so... Yeah, that's insanity.
But Habistro said that he got 12 steals. And I gotta be honest, I think even that is generous.
It's still two steals per game, man. I'm staying focused on the big picture here. Your leading scorer and the leading scorer in the league is getting 2 steals per game. We're happy about this. That's awesome.
According to my actual count, 7 steals and 16 blocks. Even if you count all of the possible steals and all the possible blocks throughout these 6 games, the total comes out to just 16 steals and a slightly higher 22 blocks.
That's still fantastic. What's 22 divided by... let's see. 22 divided by 6. 3.6 blocks per game. So he's... yeah. I'm very happy about this. I'd be very happy about this. That's a defensive monster out there.
A shadow of a doubt, these 6 games were horrifically tracked by the Bulls statistician in a way that absolutely supported MJ's case for the Defensive Player of the Year award. Now, I could simply end the video there, saying that Tom Habistro was right, the footage proves it, and now we can all put an asterisk on MJ's lone DPOY. But something still wasn't sitting right with me. I thought to myself, why did Tom Habistro take these 6 games specifically? Sure, they were all home games that were tracked by the team's statistician, but they had a whopping 41 home games that season. And he just happens to pick these 6 games that span over a 5-month stretch? Seems odd to me. Then I thought about the nature of this article. How he literally mentions LeBron James in the title.
Attaboy, Johnny. You noticed exactly what I noticed. This is an agenda.
The beginning of the article and in his closing thoughts. Then I started doing the math. The article seems like it's oozing with bias to diminish Jordan and elevate LeBron James. I genuinely considered, was Clutch Sport funding this article? If Tom wanted to make an article to belittle Jordan and support James, then he would aim for the most egregious examples of bad stat keeping that he could possibly find.
Yeah, he did himself in because he made his intention clear. If he would have just gone at this as an analyst and like a statistician, I can't say the word right now, but you all know what I'm saying. If he came in just like that and didn't have an agenda, didn't mention LeBron James, because this is not about LeBron James. This is about Michael Jordan, right? And the stats being wrong. So if he just focused on MJ, then yeah, we wouldn't know what his true agenda is. But the fact that right there on the headline, he's mentioning LeBron James, and then Jonny says, like in the closing statement, he mentions LeBron James again, we know what this is. We know exactly what the purpose of this is. And it ain't going to work. I'm telling you, You could tell me in 1988, Jordan got a total of 5 steals and 3 blocks in 82 games. He's still the freaking GOAT. I don't care what happened in 1988. You could erase the whole 1988, and let's enter an alternate reality where MJ was injured all of 88, but he still accomplished everything else he did. Still the GOAT. Sorry, not happening. It's not that easy. There's too many things that MJ did to just try to bring one thing down and think, oh, now LeBron's the GOAT. It's not close. It's really not close at all. If you can tell me that 4 of those championships were fake, now we're having a conversation.
Which then made me think, did he cherry pick these games? Is it possible that Tom watched a lot more games than he said he did, and he only just grabbed a quote sample of the most egregious examples? Of course it's possible. So this realization meant one thing for me.
More DVDs. Yeah, let's go.
I had to watch more games, but this time...
It's a good excuse to watch some 1988 Jordan, Johnny. It's a good excuse.
It was of my own random assortment, and if Jordan's numbers were actually similar to the box score, then that would probably tell me what I needed to know about Habistro's motive and tactics.
Yeah, why not do the full season? If you're gonna do not to Johnny, but to the dude Hasbro, whatever the hell his name is, why not do the whole season then, so you can get the official numbers, and say this is what Jordan really did, and if we can get the entire season, then we can look at what Jordan really got and then compare that to the other people who were below him in the DPOY voting and say, would Jordan have still won anyways? That's the fair approach. So let's see what Johnny's got, man. I'm kind of excited about this. Thanks for all the suggestions to watch this. This is very interesting.
Listed on the screen is the games I picked, and I selected these because they were all home games for the Bulls during the 87-88 season, and Jordan had some especially impressive defensive numbers during these contests. The first game was actually the first game of the regular season against the Philadelphia 76ers. This situation was especially interesting to me because if the Bulls statistician had an agenda to inflate Jordan's stats in order to get him the DPOY, you would think that they would start that process off with the very first game of the year. According to the box score, Jordan had a massive defensive performance of 6 steals and 4 blocks.
It's crazy.
Here's the footage of the blocks.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yep. Clean footage there.
Here's the footage of the possible blocks.
I think he got that one. That's hard. This grainy ass film. Oh, he totally got the. Oh, foul. Foul.
Here's the steals.
Bang! Jesus Christ, MJ. Nice.
And here's a possible steal. Based on the footage, it's clear that MJ had at least 3 blocks and a pretty definitive total of 6 steals. Fun fact, all 6 of those steals came in the first half. Now it has to be said,
that's crazy.
We quickly noticed that this is a dramatic difference from the games that Habistro tallied.
Yeah. So this is accurate.
As the box score seems almost completely identical to what actually happened on the court. So let's press on. The next game was on December 12th.
And now let's just make this okay. That in reality, plus whatever 30 some odd points that he scored, Imagine that. Your guy's giving you 30-something points, probably like 7 rebounds, 6 steals, and 3 blocks. Tell me he's not the GOAT with a straight face.
On the court. So let's press on. The next game was on December 12th, 1987 against the Houston Rockets, and Jordan's stats were 5 steals and 5 blocks.
Sick.
Here are the blocks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. God, he's so good at reading them. It takes so much energy, too, by the way, you guys. I mean, he's jumping at full power every single time.
The possible blocks.
Not so sure on that one. Nope. No, he didn't get that. Ooh, I might give him that one. And he came up short.
The steals.
That's hard. It's hard. I think Jonny's doing a great job here. Mr. Arnett, you're doing a fantastic job. Oh, nice swipe. Look at that. Look at that effort. Look at that crap, man. Oh, he got nailed. He ran into a wall.
And the possible steals.
Yeah, look at that effort.
Again, this is almost completely accurate. My final count was 4 steals and 5 blocks. But you could really make the argument that he had as many as 8 blocked shots. It's so hard to tell with these lone angles and with the low quality footage.
All right, so that's 2 games in a row that are completely fair.
So again, I could easily see people disagreeing on the final tally. Regardless, both of these games are more accurate than Habestrow's batch.
Yeah.
My third game was on December 22nd against the Dallas Mavericks. In this contest, he allegedly had 4 steals and 2 blocks. Here's the blocks.
Dude, that's crazy.
Possible blocks.
Ooh. It's either a block or a foul, but they didn't call a foul, so that's that. I think that's a block. I think that one's a block too, guys. Not so much on that one. Nah.
And possible steals.
And he airballed it strong, so I don't think so.
Now this is the first game of my batch that's egregiously off. And interestingly, it's in both positive and negative ways, but mostly negative. Again, the box score said 4 steals and 2 blocks, but my final count is 0 steals and 3 blocks.
I would have given him 4 blocks and 0 steals, so this is whack. Yeah, I'm with him. We might disagree on one number because we saw something different here, but who cares? The point is, this is whack. So this is good investigating here.
Possibly as many as 6 blocks, because those 3 possible ones genuinely look like they may have been blocks. The 0 steals are brutal though. I'm telling you guys, I watched every minute of this game extremely closely, and I have no idea where the statistician pulled these steals from.
Yeah, that one steal that looked possible, he didn't deflect the ball. So if that's the definition, that's the definition. We got to ride with it.
I had one lone possible steal, but if you ask me, it definitely looks like John Paxson initially deflected the ball.
And it's hard too. Once again, this is some dude sitting right over here who might not have saw that tap. Is this an excuse? Yeah, it's totally an excuse. It shouldn't be this way, but this is the human aspect. You know, there are humans doing this. So he's seeing Jordan gather the ball.
Should be his steal. Now,
but I agree, that's not a steal, technically. No.
Final game of my batch.
Let's do it.
It was on February 23rd, 1988, against the Seattle Supersonics. Allegedly, Jordan had 4 steals and 2 blocks. Here's the block. The possible blocks.
Ooh, you got ball. Is that officially considered a block, guys? If you get ball, but they still get the shot off? I don't think so, right? Like that literal play, he tapped the ball. So he's altering the shot, and he made contact with the ball, but he didn't get the ball out of the player's hands. I don't think that's a block. No, I could answer my own question there. No. And guys, I'm asking so many questions in here to get everyone's view. Please leave like some timestamps, because there's like, if you just say that one's totally a block, I'm not gonna know. We just watched like 1,000 blocks and 1,000 steal attempts, and timestamps will be great, guys, for to keep the accuracy going in our comment section. Thank you in advance. I can already imagine this is gonna be a cool comment section. Ooh, that's just, you can't see. We can't see. Again, can't see. But the ball wasn't short, so I'm not assuming that was a block. Ooh, ooh. Wait. Okay, that's a foul. That's a block? Oh, foul. No, yeah. Okay.
The steals.
Okay. Yep. Man, this must have been tedious for him to do. Like, to look through this grainy ass footage this closely. Ooh. That was 2 deflections. Nice dunk, MJ.
And the possible steal.
That's hard. You got to give it to somebody.
By my actual count, this one is short, as I have MJ with 3 steals instead of 4, and just 1 block instead of 2. But to be fair, I did see 2 or 3 possible blocks that may have actually been legit.
Yeah, me too.
But it's just too difficult to confirm with this low quality angle.
Yep.
So now that we've seen the footage of all 10 home games, what are some of my stats and conclusions?
Can you imagine if we really did this for things like assists nowadays? With these inflated assist numbers going on? It would be disgusting. Like, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
First, we gotta tackle the elephant in the room, which is steals. According to the box scores, the combined total of MJ steals from these 10 games is 47, and according to my count, it's just 20. Even if you include all of the quote possible steals in this video, Jordan's total only comes out to 33, still falling way short of his recorded total of 47. No matter how you slice it,
yeah,
Jordan's steals were horrendously inaccurate over this 10-game sample. And this is not an insignificant sample either. 10 home games is roughly a quarter of the home games that were played that season.
Yep.
And myself and Havastro purposely selected the games where Jordan had the highest number of steals and blocks. So in reality, it's even worse than simply 25% of the home games. This extremely inaccurate steals total can only mean one of 2 things. Either the statistician was purposely inflating Jordan's steals, or the statistician was so painfully incompetent that he didn't know what actually defined a steal.
That's what I'm starting to think is going on here. I think Jordan is getting credit for the deflections, and then also getting credit for when somebody else deflects it and takes the possession. And when somebody else deflects it and then Jordan grabs the possession.
To me though, it was the former. Jordan was getting his steals inflated intentionally. Because if the statistician was just generally giving out steals out of ignorance, then more Bulls players should have seen their numbers inflated. And it usually was the opposite. In some cases, guys like Rory Sparrow, Charles Oakley, and Horace Grant were not getting credited as many steals as I witnessed them get. Again, I believe Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time, and I'm usually very pro-Jordan on this channel. But I'm also honest.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, There's no way Jordan's steals were anywhere close to accurate this season.
Those numbers still indicate that he probably should have been Defensive Player of the Year anyways, though. And that's not biased. Looking at those numbers, when we're deflating him, he's still getting like 3 blocks and 2 steals, So in my mind already, I can tell you he still earned it, but he didn't earn it in that much of an extreme. But he probably still earned it. I like to see somebody else who was getting more blocks and more steals that season. And also by the eye test of watching him playing this kind of crazy, wild defense and just spanning the entire court. I doubt nobody did it, but like you guys know already, I'm a broken record here. So even if we did take away his DPOY, still the GOAT. It's not working, LeBron camp. It's just not working. It's not.
Now, it is important to mention that multiple things can be true at once. It can be true that Michael Jordan's steals were inflated, but he was also arguably the best defensive player that season.
There we go.
Habestrow's article makes it seem like his high steals and blocks were mandatory in order to win the Defensive Player of the Year in years past.
Exactly.
But that can't be true because Dennis Rodman was the back-to-back DPOY winner just 2 years later, while not averaging a single block or a single steal either season.
Yep. Intangibles, man. Dennis Rodman's all about it. And that's what I mean about watching MJ play with the eye test. You could see no one is working that hard on defense like he was. Not at that point.
Even back then, the voters were evaluating more than simply surface level numbers. And saying otherwise is just being disingenuous for the sake of your argument. Now let's get into the next stat, which is blocks. If there was an agenda to inflate Jordan's defensive stats, the blocks sure didn't seem like they were a part of it. The box scores indicated that MJ had a total of 33 blocks over this 10-game stretch, and according to my count, he had 28. The thing is, I didn't have as good of a view as the guy sitting at the scorer's table.
Yeah.
And if you count the possible blocks, that count skyrockets to 48. Obviously, not all of those were legitimate blocks, but some of them likely were, which probably means that the box score was pretty accurate in terms of total blocks. Personally, that was easily the most impressive thing I witnessed by watching these games closely. As a 6'6" guard, MJ was a shot-blocking machine.
Yes, he was.
He contested everything.
Yes, he was.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I can say that I've never seen a guard cover as much ground as MJ did as a shot blocker.
And why I still think he should get a DPOY, even if the stats were inflated. You watch him, when he's not blocking you, he's contesting the shot to make it so uncomfortable for you because you're expecting him to block you at this point. Or he's coming in with the double on the weak side, and he's just altering everyone's shot. That's great defense. Same thing with the steals. He doesn't actually have to complete the steal. He's swiping like a maniac out there. You catch the ball with your two hands, he's underneath, stabbing upwards at that ball. Like he's just making you all kinds of uncomfortable. Something that like Dennis Rodman does a lot of too. He just had a lower success rate. But as far as like making the offensive player just incredibly uncomfortable, which is the goal of defense. Yeah, Jordan did it, man. Jordan did it. Non-stop energy.
He was constantly lurking, waiting for his moment to strike, similar to a prime Ray Lewis in the NFL. Whatever the actual total of Jordan's blocks were, I guarantee you that he altered at least 3 times as many. So in conclusion, here's the things I learned in this video. 1. Tom Habestrow probably handpicked the most extreme examples.
For sure.
2. There was a lot of truths in Tom's article, regardless of agenda.
Fair.
3. MJ steals were definitely inflated to an insane degree.
Fair.
4. Blocks were seemingly not a part of the inflation.
Yeah.
5. A young MJ is without question the best shot blocking guard that I've ever seen.
Yeah, hands down.
6. This video is going to make people lose their minds on both sides of the argument.
I don't think so. Well, maybe some agenda-driven people on both sides. Yeah. No, I'm a basketball purist, man. I want the truth.
As far as my opinion on MJ's 1988 DPOY and if he should have kept it, well, you'll have to wait for my next video, as I'm tackling who the real DPOYs should have been in the 1980s. I also want to let you guys know that I'm not done researching these types of topics, because although we now have answers about MJ's 1988 season, it also raised a lot of questions, like just how widespread was the statistical inflation issue in the NBA?
Yeah.
In future videos, I want to look at things like John Stockton's assists, or Alvin Robertson's record-breaking season where he averaged 3.7 steals a game.
Yeah.
Or heck, even Magic Johnson had a season early in his career where he averaged an insane number of steals, and then his numbers mysteriously declined dramatically to look much more pedestrian. I'll even look at some modern players and see if there's any more recent examples of statistical inflation.
I bet there's a lot of assists nowadays that are being misproperly credited.
Again, I plan on learning the truth about that in future videos. This video took a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of research, and a lot of time to make. So I'd really appreciate it if you'd be willing to hit that like button on your way out.
Yes, sir.
And maybe share it with someone who's interested in the topic. So what do you guys think? Did MJ deserve the 1988 DPOY? And knowing what you know now, does that change the way you see basketball in any way? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys.
Definitely. You guys, if you're not subscribed to Jonny Arnett, hopefully this convinced you to do it. I know like this might have triggered some emotions from a lot of you, but separate that. This guy's doing like legit investigation. Doesn't have a narrative that he's following. In fact, if anything, he's a huge Jordan fan like me. So this was kind of painful for him to do. But for the sake of honesty and truth, I hope you see through it and you don't think like, oh, this guy's doing a hit piece on MJ. He's not. He's a truth seeker. And I think we need more truth in basketball. To answer his question, yeah, I think Jordan still. I'm looking forward to the next Arnett video now when he's going to talk about that. Like who should have been DPOY that year. I still think it's probably going to be Jordan. Just looking at that sample size of games. Like, he's still racking up the stats, and then if you look at what he was doing on the floor, like, I think it's a well-earned DPOY. But yeah, now's going to be your turn, guys. You've heard me ramble on here for quite a while. So let me know where you stand on this. Yeah, I am actually surprised by this. I didn't think it was going to be this drastic. But I got to tell you the truth, I didn't remember his numbers being that high to begin with. So this kind of had a weird effect on me where I'd see like 5 blocks and 5 steals and I'm like, that's ridiculous. But then the truth ends up being like 3 blocks and 2 steals. And I'm like, that's fantastic, you know? So if anything, it just kind of reaffirmed to me that, yeah, Jordan was that defensive monster that we all know and love. It's true. But for most people who are just going to read a headline and nothing else, this is going to hit them differently, where they're just going to go like, oh yeah, see, it was fake. He's a fake goat. It's not real. And you got to watch basketball to know. But all right, lots of stuff to talk about in the comments, guys. I appreciate you watching. I know this is a long one. Thank you again for suggesting it. And yeah, let's talk about it down below, okay? Let's have a conversation. This community is awesome, by the way. You guys are absolutely awesome. Loving this stuff. All right, guys. Leave a comment down below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. You know the drill. And it's nighttime, so be good to your people. Tell your loved ones you love them. Don't take the moment for granted. Carpe diem, seize the day. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, all right, everybody? All right, let's be peaceful in the comments, okay? We all know where we stand. We all know. But let's be peaceful in the comments because numbers are numbers and facts are facts. But let's get our opinions out there, okay? But let's respect each other's opinions. It's just basketball, like LeBron James says. I'm sorry. I had to use it once. Now, let's keep it peaceful, okay? You know, we're all basketball lovers in this community. So let's keep it peaceful. All right, everyone. I'm out. Peace out, everyone. Good night.